Welcome to the Drunk Linux User. I'm Len. I'm the Drunk Linux User. And I noticed something on my last video after I had already put it up onto all the different platforms, and that was when I was showing you OBS and I went to the screen that I'm in right now where you just see me. You couldn't see my settings for how I set up OBS for this particular scene. So what I've done is I've brought this little guy in right here so that I can show you. Okay, and I can just make it nice and big. You can do this with any program. You just make the selection from here. You just choose what you want, and right now we're just going to use the program, cover up my mug for the moment. But on scene one we have, for example, this little guy right here, which is the window. Now this I have on top because if I put it below, you can't see it. So I want you to see it, so I put it up on top. This is the layering effect I was talking about. Then I have my camera, and as I was trying to show before, the microphone that I use is on the very bottom. Again, with the sound, unless you're dealing with different levels of sound, you can put this any way you want. Okay, and you can do desktop sound over here as well, and that'll integrate into your video. So when we go to scene 2, for example, and I don't want to show this before I cut over, I just do this. I just click out of it, and you see the square red box where the program window would be. I just click off of it, and we're back to normal, I guess is what you could call this. So then again, when we go back over to scene 2, which is where we're going to get going here in just a second. I got to take care of something real quick. But we go back over to scene 2. I'm tossed up over in the right hand corner, and you can see OBS is right here. But the nice thing about OBS is that if I go to minimize this, you'll see over in the tray icon over here that this little red dot is indicating that I'm still recording. And if I want, I can use a right click and select whatever I want to here. Right now I'm just going to leave it alone and head on out to part of what we're going to be discussing today. And it has to do with OBS, and it has to do with Wayland. And I was really excited when I read this article today, and that OBS-Studio is bringing out a beta, and it's I don't care so much that it's going to be coming out in a flat pack, but others might be, and this might actually be a good thing because, like I've said before, flat packs, app images, even snaps, the program is all encapsulated into one thing. So you don't have to worry about dependencies being brought in from other locations. It's all there. That's what the developer wants you to have and use. So this is an awesome thing. So let's see. First up, today's OBS-Studio 27.2 Beta 1 release delivers an official Flatpak support for Linux. Yay! Well, I suppose that is a milestone. I don't know much about how difficult it is to create a Flatpak, but I can't imagine it being very, very simple, or tons of people, I guess, would be doing it a lot right now. The next section is the part that really got me all excited. And it says, on the Linux front, there's also now hotkey support when running OBS on Wayland, various audio fixes for Linux, and a possible Linux crash fix too. I don't know about the crash problem from before, but I did mention the hotkey fix. So I was just real excited about that, and then I decided I would go ahead and read the comments. So I clicked on the old tab over here and came over here. This is like a little synopsis of on their forums. And one reader comes back and says, where did you even get this? Wayland's global hotkey portal is still in discussion. Crap. Well, the article's author comes back. The changelog for Beta 1 says, added hotkey support when running OBS on Linux with Wayland. And there's I guess that's the person's name there that put that information in their the log, the beta change. To which the other person came back, possibly an error in the changelog. The author is literally the one that wrote the PR, which is a pull release. I linked above with that one also being the only relevant one of theirs. Well, crap. If they're not going to fix the Wayland support, well, that's too bad because it's really needed. I'll leave these show notes with the links, and I said that backwards. I know, I'm sorry. I also have been telling you that I have been using Manjaro with Gnome, and I've been using their latest and greatest. I'm going to tell you right now, it is really, really well done. Manjaro has done an amazingly nice job of putting their software together with the Gnome environment. It is smooth, it is pretty, it is simple, and I don't like it. I don't like it because it looks too much like a cell phone or a tablet. And when you're working on a desktop, and especially when you're working on a monitor larger than, say, 12 inches, I find it highly distracting when you go to hit the super key or the Windows key or whatever you want to call it to launch a program. This top picture that you're seeing right up here is what you get. It's distracting. I don't care for that so much. I was going to deal with it and see if I could get accustomed to the feel and the workflow behind it, and I'm sorry, I just can't. They do have their virtual workspaces up on the top, and everything works. Everything works as advertised. It's really, really good. And it's very smooth. It's the best Gnome experience I have run across since they've changed over. So, kudos to Gnome. Kudos to Manjaro. It's just not my cup of tea. So, if you take a look, for example, if you want to start searching for an application, this is what it looks like. You can group applications together. This just looks like a cell phone to me, turned on landscape instead of portrait. It is finely crafted. If you like Gnome, if you like the Android or iOS configuration to set up your desktop, this is the way to go. And the programs that I loaded in were great. Manjaro defaults Gnome into Wayland, and if you run into the problems that I was running into where the .desktop files that you create don't show up in their little launcher bar down at the bottom exactly, and they just come up with a little geary icon over here where that's where your program is residing, then it's real simple. At the login screen, just log out and press enter, or just click on your name, whatever you've got set up. And there's a little gear down here in the right hand side that when you click on that, you have an option to change over. But it's not completely all that simple either, because in Manjaro you also have to go into the layout. Wow, that's cool. You have to go into the layout panel, and you have to go into settings, and you have to deactivate Wayland. So when you do that first and then you log out and go back in, you'll be on the Xorg system, and everything will be just exactly as before. It still runs nice and smooth. I honestly think that Wayland is a little bit, it's just subjective. I have nothing to prove this with, but I think that it's actually a little bit sharper. The screen looked more clear, and things just seem more vibrant. Could be my monitor, the way that it reacts with Wayland, and it just could be wishful thinking on my part. I don't know. So there we have it. If you are a big Gnome fan, go for it. It doesn't work with my workflow at all, and I'm sorry for those who love Gnome. I'm not saying anything bad about it. Like I said, I'm trying to pump it up. It is a really, really beautiful arrangement. It's just not for me. So I'm kind of like that old-fashioned guy, right? Okay, Linux Mint, back to Linux Mint. I'm doing the video on Linux Mint. And out of the box, honestly, this is, I'm sorry, I don't like it. I think it's ugly as sin. But there you go. This is Linux Mint. They are coming out with 20.3 soon. The beta release, or the people who are talking around the beta release, were indicating that the 20.3 should have been released around Christmas time. We are technically still within that Christmas time setting, but it hasn't been released just yet. And could be before the end of the year, it could be slightly after. One of the things that I like most about Manjaro and Linux Mint both is that their developers are very careful about what they're doing, and if it's not ready, they typically don't put it out just because they promised a date. They're going to make sure that it's actually very well done. And I'm going to explain something about the differences between GNOME and Linux Mint in this one respect. I know I can change GNOME to make it like this type of a desktop layout where I have dash to panel down at the bottom. It looks almost identical to this, for example. I can set up a right click or on the sound. There's an extension that you can put in so you can select your sound sources for output and for input. You can put in Arc menu or another menu system to make it, instead of going to the big full screen, blah, blah, blah. Every time you add an extension, you're adding additional software, which could potentially cause a conflict with another extension, which can possibly lead to crashes or maybe possibly extensive resource usage because you keep adding more and more and more. On Linux Mint, I've got it all right here anyway. So if I hit the super key or I hit the logo over here on the corner, I've got my menu. I start typing. The whole screen doesn't go weird on me, and I can bring up a program. We'll just do the one that we talked about yesterday because I just installed it on Linux Mint this morning. Font Finder. I just do that. The screen doesn't go in and out or anything like that, and I can use what I want. So I like that because it's less distracting. That's my thing. And this is already built in. If you right click on the sound icon, you can select your output sources, your input sources. It's already there. It's built in. So pretty much everything that I used in GNOME to make it work the way I liked it is already built into Linux Mint. So, and no conflict here. No conflict, no problems. So, yeah, old guy's sticking with Mint. It works, and I'm happy. I'm very interested in seeing what the 20.3 is going to be like, though. The current version is 20.2 UMA, U-M-A. The next version, 20.3, is going to be UNA, U-N-A. And I hope that they release it soon so I can do a video and show you all the cool new stuff that they're doing with that. Well, now that we're done with all that crap, remember our words of wisdom, folks. Don't drive drunk. Don't drink and drive. Especially during New Year's. Get a cab or a designated driver or something like that, please. I need the subscribers. Don't go to Amazon or eBay all buzzed up looking for stuff that you think is going to be cool because it's probably not going to be. And bottoms up, later dudes.